And a good reminder that we are to bless everything, because we know it's all God, don't we? Don't we teach that every Sunday, every day, to every class? It's all God. But it really depends on the kind of God you're looking at. If we think that we are made in the image and likeness of God, and we are thinking about a God that is that old guy in the sky, that judgmental God, the one that likes some of us but not all of us. You know that one I'm talking about, that likes a few of us, and then those that are here, most of us are going to be damned to hell forever because we don't believe exactly the same way. Well, if you think that God who created in the image and likeness would say, yeah, you're going to see how crummy and how much you can suffer in this life. That's not the God we're talking about. The God we know is the God of love, the energy of creative potential, of unlimited possibilities. And when we say we're created in the image and likeness of God, we're created in the image and likeness of that love, that blessing, that goodness. All of us. Now, God's blessing us always. God, life is fundamentally good. Would you agree with that? Yes. But anyway, yes. Yes, it's fundamentally good. It's made out of that goodness. But we get to choose how much of that good we're going to accept. And I'm going to tell you something. If we say celebrate the goodness in everyone, if life is a mirror, are you getting that? We can't see the goodness in other people that we don't accept in our own selves. We can't do it. And if we're continually judging and criticizing ourselves for being this or that or whatever, we're not possibly going to be able to see the good in others. So this is about really clearing our eyesight. Now, if we look at the world through our physical eyes, we're going to see things that come from spirit, that are the manifestation of a divine idea. Everything starts in mind first, ideas. And then if we look with the eyes of our perception that create all the stories that we come from, do you know what I mean? We recognize that, especially if you're married or have a partner, that you can see the exact same thing, the exact same experience or object, and see it completely differently. Come on, you guys. You know what I mean. And part of this finding the goodness in everyone and everything means letting go of that need to control or have it your way. It's about letting go and learning that consciousness of acceptance. We can only be as godlike as our consciousness is. And so I have a little test for you. If you want to know where in your life you might need a little adjustment, do any of you wonder, or are you pretty self-aware? Okay, where we need a little adjustment. I want you to think right now and let something pop up. Who do you really admire in your life right now? Admire and love in your life right now. First person to come up. And think of the qualities that person has. Wow. Well, recognizing and knowing that we can't recognize in someone else what we don't have in ourselves. Those qualities that you love and admire in someone else have to belong to you. They have to be yours. Now, maybe you need to expand them a little bit and let them out and share them, but they're there. They're there. So, now for the second half. Think of someone in this world that just bugs the heck out of you. You know, something that just really drives you nuts. And it could be a person, a family member, it could be a friend, it could be a coworker, it could be a community. Nobody here, though. It could be an organization, it could be a country, it could be anything that just drives you crazy. What are the qualities of that? Remembering we can't see something in someone or something else that we don't own ourselves. So this journey of having the ability to celebrate the goodness in everyone and everything, we have to realize, where do we want to contract that quality and transform it into something else, and where do we want to expand the good we already have? In our foundations class this week, we had people bring in newspaper articles about what's going on in the world. And because we're human beings and we think in black and white and paradox, and we divided the stories into good and evil or bad. And then we picked the most horrific stories. And we had to really analyze them if we believe that life is inherently good. If we really believe that blessings are bestowed all the time, how can we possibly find goodness in a horrific experience? And that got me thinking, this being Veterans Day, and what came up, really, the hardest thing for people to understand was terrorism, ISIS, the Sandy Hook incident, was all this man's inhumanity to man. And I started to think about how can we find the goodness in war? Because war is a human experience right now. And we need to be able to find the good in war. Now, war is when a person or a people or a group compete or fight against each other. Now, I would say that all of us are warring against something in our life right now. We could be just warring with our own true nature, our own goodness, our own possibility. We could be warring with someone else. We could be warring with a bigger organization. Who knows? But there is conflict and war going on. And how do we bring understanding to that? Well, really when Ernest Holmes and Science of Mind was really getting its fullness, its just really expanded influence in the world, was the time of World War II and the Korean War. And I know were articles written in the Science of Mind magazine on really how to be on the right side of war. How to be on the right side. And one of the writers of one of the beautiful articles, or several, was Reverend Dr. Reginald Armour. And he met Ernest Holmes when Reginald was 12 years old, and was his neighbor, and a deep friendship budded. And they became not only co-workers, but friends with trust and respect for each other throughout Ernest Holmes' life. And Reginald's daughter, Marilyn, actually remembers being bounced on Ernest Holmes' lap. And she happens to be here today. And so, Marilyn, will you just stand up that we can recognize you? She lived next door to Ernest Holmes, knew so much about him. And I appreciate your dad for what he had to say about putting the consciousness of war in really an understandable way. And he said, all war comes from greed, the need for power, and the will to dominate. That's the roots of all war. And the path of war is the hard, bitter experience of the world on the road to the qualities of freedom, love, and the self-ordained freedom that is for us all. And as long as we can hold our mind on that and never, ever move to the hatred of individuals, our souls are not conditioned for malice and hatred. We have to keep our focus on what is good and right and true. Ernest Holmes said, there will be no more war when we find the better way. But while we don't have a better way right now, we need to keep our focus on what is good and right and true. Love, justice, freedom. We need to keep our focus on that. Now, this was very interesting to find out how Ernest Holmes participated in World War II. He wrote this book called The Thing Called Life in 1943, I believe. And during World War II, a paperback copy of This Thing Called Life was distributed to thousands of American soldiers worldwide. This book is filled with positive thoughts, with ways to make your life better. I just went through the chapters and just wrote down some little blurbs of wisdom that I want to keep. But the world is crying out for God. What is the secret longing of your heart? Life goes on, but are we making the most of this thing called life? The beautiful mystic teacher Jesus, while living in a world of poverty and famine and difficulty, never focused on that, but always looked for the good that was present to create the miracles. He also says, this one I think many of us will like, you need not have to grow old. Anyway, the book's in the bookstore if you want to get a copy of it. But these are all important things to know. And what went on in the Korean War in 1950, there was only one religious radio station, religious contented radio station that was aired on the Armed Forces Radio Network. And that was Ernest Holmes' radio station, radio program, This Thing Called Life. And he started every single one of those programs saying, there's a power for good in the universe. You can say it with me. Greater than you are, and you can use it. How empowering. And of course, that radio show went on for a while after that. Just what a positive message. But that's how we can do, how many of you saw the movie The Martian? Fabulous movie. One of the things you know about that is we have to take one step at a time towards our good. We can have a vision, which we want to keep as our vision, that love, peace, freedom, joy, goodness, a world that works for everybody. But we need to take one step at a time. One step in order to get to our dream, our goodness that we really want. I think what the world needs without question is interdependence. I think first and foremost, you and I have to get an independent nature. We have to reclaim our inner authority. Many of us have given our power away. We've given our power away to the government. We've given our power away to the health industry. We've given our power away somewhere when our true authority lies right in here. And if we're going to be independent, we have to have that first. Before we can really have that consciousness of interdependence, where we depend on each other for mutual goodness. If we don't find our inner authority, then we become codependent and expect our good to come from somebody else. Have any of you ever been there before besides me? We need to be sure that we find our inner authority, that we take responsibility for our own life, our own decision, our own choices, and the experiences they create. And once we take responsibility for our own life and stop being a victim in this world, giving our power away, then we can enter into the realm of interdependence. Part of that independence comes from recognizing where we put our thoughts, where we put our mind, how we're creating the goodness in ourselves. And there is that little story, but it always is such a beautiful reminder to me about the choices we make every day. And it's about an old Cherokee that's teaching his grandson about life. And he said, "Grandson, there's a fight going on inside me. And it's a terrible fight between two wolves. One wolf is evil, and it's resentful, and it's angry, and it's hateful, and it has no forgiveness. It does terrible, malicious things and thinks awful thoughts. And the other wolf is kind and good and generous and compassionate and caring and forgiving. That fight goes on within me, and it goes on within every other person." And the little grandson thought for a moment, and he said, "Well, grandfather, which wolf will win?" And the grandfather said, "The one you feed. The one you feed is the one that's going to win." We have to be that careful with our thoughts. We have to be that careful with where we put the thoughts that we create this world that we experience. And remember, it's not just about us, because when we recognize this inner interdependent world where we work together for good, for mutual good, what we think and do for ourselves is what we're giving to others. It was Mother Teresa who said, when you find no peace in your life, it's because we have forgotten that we belong to each other. That's the road and journey you and I are on. To celebrate the goodness in others means we're an interdependent world where we truly are here not only for our own good, but for the goodness of others. And how do we do that? We have to keep remembering we are spiraling upward. We do the best we can until we know better. We need to keep knowing better. Learn spiritual practices. Commit to spiritual practices. But the last word is the most important. Do you know? It's 2 letters and it starts with D and ends with O. You can learn it, you can commit to it, but unless you do it, it's no good. We have to be committed to our spiritual practices. That's how we keep spiraling upward. We keep committed to our spiritual practices through community, through classwork, through small groups, through reading and learning, through our own contemplative meditative time, through our own prayer work. We need to do that, our own prayer work. When Ernest Holmes was giving some rules for, finding the good in wartime, his number 1 was do not hate anyone, ever. And pray. Pray for the enemies to see the light. Pray for the leaders to be smart and wise and right and true. And pray. And this is where interdependence comes. And pray for the vision of seeing us working together for good. So one of the prayers and spiritual practices I want to do with us today, it's a centering prayer, and centering prayers are very popular in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Catholicism. And it was Thomas Keating, a Trappist monk, who really started saying, focus on one word, because what we need to do, we have these busy little minds. Yap, 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 yap. The old stories go over and over. If we keep our minds busy, then our inner essence, which is love, which is possibility and creativity, that can blossom and be born. But we need to keep these minds calm. And they said, choose one word, just one word, and keep repeating it until you feel it, you own it, you vibrate with it. You may see visions, images of it, but you become that word: peace, love, joy, God, goodness, Om, Shanti, whatever you want. But a word that just resonates with spiritual power for you. So are you ready to do it with me? So unwrap yourselves, please. I want you to just unwrap yourself. And of course, with any spiritual practice, God is, we start in the energy of knowing that God is. Right here, and whatever your word be, right, it might be joy. Right here, and you could simply say, I am right now, joy. God, I am love. I am power. God, I am beauty. I am abundance. I am good. I am blessed. Just keep repeating whatever word it is that belongs to you, that is your word of the vibration of celebration and love for everyone. I am love. I am light. I am goodness. I am blessed. I am power. I am beauty. I am joy. And I'm just going to invite us now, whatever your word is, to start speaking it out loud, that we're in a cacophony of blessings, an abundance of goodness. I am love. I am joy. I am peace. I am freedom. I am possibility. I am infinite good. I am God's love expressing. I am the way God knows itself. And just remembering as we bring this time to a close, just remembering as that expression of love, as that expression of goodness, as God said, yes, you are my creation, in excitement and joy, that we are the way God knows itself. And I'm not just talking about me, it's you and you and you and you. We are the way. Love knows itself. Peace, beauty, we are the way. So as you come out of your meditation and come back with your feet solidly put on the ground, your body open, your heart free, your mind clear, know that this is the time to celebrate the goodness in yourself and celebrate the goodness in everyone. Just imagine your arms around this room, blessing each person here, wherever they are on their journey. Bless each and every person for being here with us together. God is. I hope that you are vibrating with the joy of that overflowing good from each and every one of us. We are in this process together. And let me tell you how much I love and care about each and every one of you and the good and beauty and joy you bring. We're on this journey together. May we support and love each other in the process. And in that knowing, in that goodness, in that acceptance, as I celebrate you and I know you celebrate me, let's seal it all by just saying together, and so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.